The Toronto Maple Leafs just sent the NHL a terrifying message as they come out and beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in overtime in one of the craziest overtime finishes you'll ever see. One of the crazier games of the year, probably the craziest game of the year. And despite letting the Tampa Bay Lightning get an extra point, we'll dive into some of the stats in a minute here. This was the biggest game of the year for the Leafs and the biggest regular season game in the past decade for this Toronto Maple Leafs team as they continue their pursuit of an Atlantic banner. But let's before we get into all that, Darius, I'm back on the stream. What's up, everybody in the chat? This was crazy. What's up, Nick, Jim, Dan, every single person in here. That felt like a playoff game. And the reason it did because it basically was a playoff game as it pertains to the matchups. I mean, that finish was absurd. I mean, between the legs, there's a ton of things to go over. We saw some fights, we saw some penalties, but Darius, let's dive into the box score a little bit here. And I do want to dive into this a little bit later because this is very interesting as it pertains to the playoff spots. But let's dive into this first. Stolarz gets the nod tonight. They changed up the lines a little bit. And Matthew Knies with, unbelievable game.
Yeah. What do you say? Hat trick again for Matthew Knies. He's almost at 30 goals on the season. He's been fantastic this year. And the Toronto Maple Leafs all of a sudden own the Tampa Bay Lightning, sweep the season series against the Lightning. Perfect this year, and they played them very well. And again, I know it went to overtime, but it was a good game and lots to like from the Leafs tonight, especially the top guys. They played really well and blocking a lot of shots, the entire team, not just the top line, which they were, but the entire team blocking a lot of shots. And I thought OEL was very noticeable tonight. We're going to get into Morgan Riley, I'm sure, throughout the stream, but lots to like from the Leafs tonight. And Stolarz, there's a couple goals in there where you're like, maybe you'd like them back, but he made a couple big saves. Like, he's been playing well, so can't pin him the fact that I went to overtime on the goalie. And this is a team in the Tampa Bay Lightning that's been playing some really, really good hockey. Like, this was a good game. So lots to like from the Leafs tonight.
Yeah, it was a wild one. What's up, Blake Sim? We all knew Matthew Knies was going to score 100%. Mariners going to get his first 100-point season. Very possible there as well. But man, what a crazy game. Blake, thank you for becoming a member and renewing that. We appreciate it as always. This was it was interesting. Yeah, from the Lightning's point of view, they do stay in the hunt, but this was, and we can dive into the odds here in a minute, but this would have been a huge, not must win for them, but pretty close to a must win. And obviously you're missing Jake McCabe, you're missing some guys. And if you look at the box score again, Matthew Knies had three goals. Mitch Marner had a goal. So the top lines came to play. It was 2-0 early for the Leafs. And then of course they started to take their foot off the gas a little bit. They didn't, it wasn't the most complete game that they played in a while, but boy, oh boy, this was interesting. I got to get a Knies jersey as well. And let's dive into some of the implications this has, because I think this is going to be, obviously the game itself was fantastic. Obviously I think Stolarz played fine as well. Very interesting refereeing. They were calling some penalties, and then
I have some thoughts on that as well. We'll get to that in a second.
Huge save in overtime, by the way, by Anthony Stolarz after, a play. We'll call it a play by Morgan Riley. That was questionable. But Vasilevsky, you're going up against Vasilevsky, who is, he is a Vezina. I think Hellebuck's going to win it this year, but he is a contender for it as Jose comes in with the 5. What a game for Matthew Knies. Shout out to Jose as per usual. Thank you. Matthew Knies was the first star of the night. He's earning himself millions with each passing game. But let's dive into what this means going forward, because we're at the point now where it means a lot. Now, we've covered it in the video today. You can see it here. This is a fantastic chart. Does it, tell the whole story? Absolutely not, but it tells a pretty big one. So you can see there for the Leafs. Now, if they beat the Bolts in regulation, they would have had a 92.5% chance. This is based on, the current standings, strength schedule, all these different things. If they would have won in regulation, they would have had a 92% chance. If they would have lost in regulation, it would have been a 50% swing down to a 43% chance, but they won in overtime. So the Leafs, as it stands now, have an 84% chance of winning the Atlantic Division. Now, Darius, so the swing here, which is crazy that a 3-on-3 overtime game made this much of a swing, even in the advanced analytics department, by 40%, as Blake comes in with the 699. Two things. Matthew Knies should play in overtime more and couldn't hear the broadcast. Why did they put Robertson in the penalty box?
Robertson went into the box because Bobby McMahon took a penalty and he was already in the box for
Yeah.
fighting, so they needed somebody to serve the penalty. So Berube looked up and down the bench and said, "Who's the most useless player here? You're going to the box." No, but that's why. I don't
Yeah.
I don't mean that literally, but that's why he
Also,
was
if
in the
you're new
box.
here, hit the like button and the subscribe button. But let's try to get to 100 likes on this one. It's a big task, but biggest one of the year. So again,
Nick, I also just sent you that. Sorry to cut you off. I sent you the impact score chart. We can get to that as
yeah,
well in a
we
bit.
will get to that. Now, as it looks at there, Darius, what are your thoughts on this? They're up to 84%
Mhm.
chance now to win the Atlantic Division, which if they would have lost an OT, it would have been 60 odd percent, 63%. And
Yep.
I'm not taking this, completely, just take it as it is, but 84% chance right now, that extra point went a 21% swing. Now, obviously, would have preferred to win in regulation, but an 84% chance now to win the Atlantic Division. So if they just take care of business here, they should win the Atlantic. And at this point, I think you absolutely want to win the Atlantic Division. I don't think there's any, talk about that anymore.
No, go out and win it. And it looks like you're going to win it at this point. I mean, if they lose out the rest of the year, that's a disaster. They got 4 games left, and Nick with the 5 gifted subs. Thank
They're
you,
coming in
Nick.
with the 5 gifted. Aiden Myers. Shout out to you for the gifted Matthew Lyons. I recognize you as well. Everybody who got a gifted sub. Listen, we're getting close to the playoffs. We're having a bunch of different things happening for members in the channel, both in the regular season, the playoffs, the offseason, all these different things. This is the place to be. Hit the
Yeah.
community's growing. Community's growing. Continue, Darius.
Yeah, it's going to be electric for the playoffs. We got 150 people in here right now. Let's go hit that like button. But I think that you want to go out and win this division. And I think you're going to now at this point because you're going to pick up a couple wins in your last 4 games here. I just think you are. You're playing Buffalo. Although Buffalo has Tage Thompson, who scored the most goals in the NHL since Four Nations. Didn't realize that until yesterday. Pretty crazy. But yeah, you're playing a couple of those teams. Montreal on Saturday should be a lot of fun. So that'll be a good game. But I think they're finishing first because of the result tonight in the Atlantic. And I think that's exciting because the Leafs have won 2 division titles ever.
Yep.
Ever in their history, over 100 years of history, and they've won 2 division titles. And one of them was made up in 2021. So it's going to be nice to get a division title. It's not the President's Trophy, so it's not too much of a curse, but they can win the division title and go into the playoffs feeling good. And they'll have home ice for presumably 2 rounds, right? It really depends on what happens. No, I think for 2 rounds at least, so that would be nice. And you want to make sure you have home ice. So I think that's a good thing. And they're rolling right now. They're playing good. And I didn't realize top 5 power play in the league right now. They've really, got things rolling here, which is nice. So a few things we can get into tonight that were a little odd. We can get into those, but I think overall everyone's feeling pretty good about this team. And last night, not great. Doesn't look like you're playing the Panthers in the playoffs though, which is nice. So that should be good.
What's up, Prophet? Hope you're doing well. Where's the Nice emoji? Well, we'll get in the lab tomorrow. We'll get in the lab tomorrow and get one for the
Playoffs.
playoffs. Let's dive into the scorecard here. You got, as per usual, you guys can leave your guesses in the chat for who you think is top 3 on the impact scorecard. I already saw it, so I mean, you should be able to get. I mean, you should be able to get all 3. I think it's a pretty usual 3 here tonight. I think it's a pretty usual 3. So I'll leave you.
Kind of obvious.
I'll let you guys guess. You're typing in right now the top 3 on the impact scorecard. 5,
Number
4, 3. Go ahead.
Number 4 is pretty interesting. Well, obviously we'll show it, but I noticed him tonight a lot.
Here it is. Matthew Nyes, Mitch Marner, the whole first line, followed by OEL and Morgan Riley. And obviously Morgan Riley, I mean, he had a very good defensive game, 7 block shots. We'll get into the bottom a little bit. Not a ton of negative impact across the board here tonight. It was a fairly responsible game. Nyes, Matthews, right on the money, actually. Both of you guys in the correct order. A lot of you guys in the correct order.
Yeah.
So it was, I thought Lawton had a good game, to be honest. Obviously, he was
Lawton had a
towards the
good
bottom
game.
again. I mean, he can't put the puck in the net, but it's fine. He's getting chances.
He's skating well. He's skating well at this point. I think he's playing his role well. He's not here to score, often. He might chip in for a goal here and there in the playoffs, but he's here to round out the lineup. So he's been playing pretty good, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there was multiple breakaways for the Leafs, multiple breakaways for Tampa Bay, especially that one in the, I think it was Braden Point in the in overtime.
Nice, all 3.
It was wild. 3 goals on 19 shots. Oh, yeah, 3 stars order. It's I mean, I would actually honestly, I'm not going to dive ahead of myself too much here, but yeah, I mean, I tend to agree around there, but yeah, I mean, the playoffs now, there's how many games left in the season? Not many. Not
4.
many at all. 4 games. So really, you play on you have your double header, I believe, what, Saturday, Sunday?
Saturday, Sunday, and then they think they play Tuesday, Thursday, and then that's it. I think the playoffs
Yeah,
start then 2 days later on
that
Saturday,
is
which is
absurd.
pretty crazy that you have a day off and then the playoffs start.
A
But
week from this Saturday, we'll be watching playoff hockey and streaming
there was
playoff
also, I
hockey.
did want to mention this, that there was Chris Johnson was on the radio yesterday and he was speculating that the Leafs game one could be moved to that Sunday,
That
Easter
would
Sunday.
be enjoyable, I think.
That would be, I don't know, let us know what you think in the comments in the chat. But I would enjoy the Saturday more, I think. But we'll see. He was just throwing that out there, speculation at this point, because they are saying it's probably the 19th, but we'll see. That is something that he was mentioning. But
Happy birthday, Bruce. Happy birthday, Bruce
happy
Grant.
birthday, Bruce.
Stolarz is a beast. I mean, that was an absurd game.
Fantastic.
I'm hoping it's. I'd actually prefer. Hockey Night in Canada Saturday. I know there's some people.
I prefer the Saturday.
WrestleMania on Saturday, so.
Yeah, don't spoil the main event Sunday. Come on. Can't have the
I'm not a
Leafs and
wrestling guy,
WrestleMania
so
at the
I
same
couldn't
time.
care less. Could not care less.
I actually bet that goes into decision making. I'm not gonna lie.
Potentially, yeah.
I where they're like it's main event or WrestleMania Sunday. It's not happening, but
But Sunday at the same
that's
time.
fair. A lot of
we
people are
want
busy
Sunday.
that Saturday.
We want Sunday because of rest, regardless.
Yeah.
Easter weekend,
Well,
lots
right,
of
you have
commitments.
2
Sunday
days
works
off.
better. Yeah. Actually, yeah, me too. I work nights the 19th, we do the 20th. We'll keep you up to date. Also, 170 of you in here. Let's try to get to. If you are in here, I know there's some lurkers, all these different things. Let's hit the like button. It's live. It was hit the like button. We all like seeing numbers go up. Let's try to get to 50. Also, I'm gonna bring this impact scorecard back up because I want to go through some of these. Philip Myers actually played well. I mean,
Yep.
everyone played pretty good. Brandon Carlo, a bit of a off night for him. A rare off night. Yarn Crow continues to do nothing. Bobby McMahon down on the third line. Didn't do anything either.
Yarn Croak cardio merchant. He's out here doing cardio. And then he finishes the game and he hits the bike and does some more cardio. But he's been okay. I feel like he's been okay.
Yeah.
since he's
I think he
come
gets
in.
replaced though,
Maybe
probably. Yeah, maybe he's fourth line. Maybe he's fourth
We'll
line.
see. I'm surprised how like we haven't mentioned it yet, how different the lineup looked tonight. Like McMahon down on the third line, but he responded well. He
Yeah.
had a good game. And
My
he had a fight,
condolences,
so-
Joshua. Glad the chat can
Oh,
help.
my condolences, Joshua. I'm glad that our content can help in some way. We appreciate that. And your support. I mean, you've been here all year.
Yeah.
We've seen you in the comments, so we appreciate you as well.
Lawton and Riley had bad games. I don't know if Riley had a totally bad game as a
I
whole.
don't know if anyone had a bad game. Like, I think some players were better than others, but I don't know if anyone had a disastrous game.
Why was Yarn
By the
Croak on
impact
second
score
line?
chart, Tavares had the worst, and I don't think he was that bad. So
Max
I
Domi.
thought Nylander had a sneaky good game. I can't lie.
Max
At
Domi had
times
the
I
worst
was
game,
like, yeah, Max Domi, yeah. No, in terms of like negative impact.
Yeah. That's
Tavares.
true. Actually, you're
Tavares
right.
had
Yeah,
more.
you're right.
But Tavares also had some impact offensively. Max Domi did not. But
Darius, can you rant about the refs real quick? People are talking about it.
yeah, so I don't like okay, John, I'm glad you said this. I actually wanted to get into this because I noticed a few people before we went live were already in the chat, talking about the
first-
officiating. Yeah, get into that.
Simon Stevenson. They lost yesterday on purpose. We're getting ready. To be honest, I think, first of all, thank you for the 5. Much appreciated. Second of all, was this the... No. This was... I don't want to sound... I think you know where I'm going with this. Was this the best outcome strictly standings-wise between these two games? I guess the best would have been a win in
Yes.
overtime against Florida, probably.
No, I think this was the best. Well,
Now, assuming you want to avoid Florida, would this have been the best route? I assume so, right? A win against Tampa.
yes, yeah.
in
Because
overtime.
Florida picks up the 2 points.
So they stay ahead of they stay ahead of Ottawa. Ottawa lost. Now they have a cushion on Ottawa. The Leafs still remain top of the Atlantic, and you beat. The only better option would have been beating Tampa Bay in regulation.
Correct. Yeah. That would have been the best option.
So it's
But
kinda-
Tampa Bay only gets a point. And Tampa, as long as Tampa doesn't catch you, you're fine because then Tampa and Florida stay in the middle there. As long as Ottawa doesn't surpass Florida, which is looking
I don't think it'll
interesting at
happen.
this point, but I don't think it'll happen.
And I
think
believe
this is the
Ottawa
standings.
does not have the tiebreaker, right? So I think Florida has the tiebreaker.
I think
I
so.
was told
Although
that.
Ottawa,
I forget who told me that.
they just beat Florida last week, but I think it goes off points.
Can someone in the chat fact check us about who has the tiebreaker between Florida and Ottawa? I think technically they're going to be virtually up 6 points. But regardless, I'll let you go on the refs. I'm going to find that out though.
Yeah, so a lot of people were talking about the refs tonight, how awful they are. I have to say, I don't think they were that bad. And I'll explain why. I'll explain why. And people are going to absolutely roast me for it, but
Roast them in the
there
chat, please.
there is a standard in the NHL that is wrong, first of all, and we're all having to get used to it, and nobody's ever going to get used to it because it doesn't make any logical sense. But McMahon gets cross-checked, right? This is what happened. This is a series of events. And I'm just talking about this one specific play. McMahon gets cross-checked. McMahon cross-checks point back. McMahon is going to get the penalty because he retaliated, right? So the refs in their head sometimes don't want to make a call. So point, there's a 50-50 chance he gets a penalty on that play. The 50% chance of not getting one, prevailed in this situation. The ref was like, I'm not going to give him a penalty for that cross check. I think refs make up their minds very slowly as well. So if McMahon turns around and cross checks him right away, the decision's easy for the ref where he's like, I'm calling the retaliation. And usually in hockey, retaliation always gets called. It's dumb. It makes no sense. It's not logical, but it's the way it is. So I feel like on that play specifically, based on everything we know and we've gathered and the way that games are called all the time, I don't think there was anything egregious there. I have to be honest. It doesn't make any sense. I will say it again. It makes no sense. And a common viewer, somebody who's a casual that's never watched hockey before, might tune into the playoffs, see something like that. They're like, that makes no sense. I agree there. But based on everything that we've seen, the way the games are officiated, uh, I don't know. I think that was McMahon turned around and cross-checked them back. Sometimes you're gonna get cross-checked and nothing's gonna happen. I think the best players in the playoffs are the ones that can eat cross-checks and eat shots and walk away and just skate away. And I think Nyes is actually very good at that. And then we saw a couple minutes later Nyes, telling Cernak that nobody can understand what he's saying. He was, barking at him and all this stuff. So I didn't think it was that bad.
And here
And
is
this
the
is
aforementioned clip.
That is okay. Nyes, who was it last year? Pasternak
Whoa,
asking him
hold
what
on,
he was going to
Robert
do,
coming
right?
in with the 5.
Yeah.
Give me a sec, Robert. Robert's saying, I may be wrong. Here the late wife would say, but to me, Stolarz reminds me of Hasek flopping around like a fish out of the water. Yeah, I mean, he's 6'6" and he still manages to flop around. First of all, Robert, thank
Very
you very,
athletic.
very much about the or for the donation. And I agree. I mean, Stolarz, he throws his body around.
Yeah. No, he does. He's very athletic for being 6'6". I mean, sometimes I wish he wouldn't do that, but I still think he's very calm and poised in his net. So, but at times he'll throw his body. He got hit one time tonight and he went like flying, which was funny, but kept the puck out, which was nice. So, given they always, this is from Jim, given they always punish the retaliation penalty, even more reason when they should remove the instigator penalty. Yes, it makes no sense. And the other thing I've been saying, and we were talking about it earlier this year, the Leafs are not instigators in the playoffs. Become instigators. Start taking liberties because someone's going to retaliate and then you're going to go on the power play. The Leafs don't do that. That's how you're supposed to play in the playoffs. That's why these teams like Boston are always successful, even if they're less skilled, is because they'll just do something first. The refs say, nope, not calling that. Then the other team will retaliate and you get in the penalty. So we'll see. From Profit too. You were talking about entertainment value in a Leafs Sens series. How about the entertainment value in a Habs and Leafs series? Nick, thoughts on that? I have my thoughts, but
Yeah.
which is still possible, by the way, mathematically.
Yeah, I don't think it's likely. It is.
No.
I mean, realistically, what are they? 4 points out, so they would have to probably win. Habs would have to win 3 of the last 4. Senators have to lose. But regardless, yeah, I mean, it would be peak. I mean, it's probably not bad. I'd rather the Leafs play the Senators. I think they have a better chance. I mean, they'd pump the Habs though too. I mean, let's be honest here. I think now again, I'm a noted Habs hater. I guess I don't know if a hater is the word. I was a Lane Hudson non-believer. However, he made me shut up pretty quickly this year. I don't see that. Actually, I would much rather play the Habs in a playoff series than the Senators. But of course, the ghost of the Habs is always going to be there. I don't, and maybe I'm curious to see what people think about this in chat. Not to turn this into a Habs conversation. Do you guys type yes or no in the chat? Would you be scared of playing the Habs in the playoffs? Do you guys find them a scary team, or do you think they're an average to below average team that just got hot at the right time?
I don't think they're a scary team. And just like 2021, which by the way, 2021 I think changed most Leaf fans, by the way. That's how depressing that was and traumatic. But I think the thing with playing them again for me is
it doesn't scare me, man. They won that 2021 series because of Carey Price. and they
No, but
have
the thing is
Montembeau.
going into that. I know it's different in terms of goaltending. I understand, but I think the thing going into they don't scare me. They don't. But anything can happen. And I think going into the 2021 series, I was like, this Leafs team wipes the floor with this Montreal Canadiens team. And then they did, but they forgot to win the fourth game. They left that fourth game behind. So
I'm gonna interrupt you real quick.
not scared of them. But go ahead.
Chat,
Yeah.
Ottawa or Montreal? Type who you would rather play. I'm very curious to see this, and we'll do a poll in a little bit. But I just want to see type. Actually, you know what?
Probably
Let's
this
do a
year's
poll now.
Montreal
Let's
Canadiens.
do a poll now, because this I feel like this is one that's interesting. Who would
I think
you
so.
Leafs or jeez, Senators, Habs. I would assume Habs is gonna win.
I think the Montreal Canadiens are a hotter team, and that's a
That's
little bit
scary.
scarier. A little bit scarier. But they don't scare me overall, if that makes sense.
I mean,
But I don't like your matchup going into the playoffs if you're playing one of the hotter teams in the league is not great.
Yeah.
No matter who they are.
I think. I mean, obviously, the most likely outcome is you play the Senators because the alternative is playing the Capitals.
Yeah.
Now,
See,
would the Habs rather play the Capitals or the Leafs? Probably the Leafs. So then it's like
right.
in theory.
Right, yeah.
So
Right.
I
Well,
would.
you have no business picking and choosing if you're Montreal.
Robert with the 10-year guy supports unbelievable night. No matter what happens, thank God for no Bruins. Yep.
Yes.
Shout out to Kirk
I agree.
at Bruins Digest. His team stinks this year.
At least we have that.
Robert,
this
your
year.
support has been incredible all season long. We're also at 64 likes. I'm
Thank
curious
you,
to see what
Robert.
it's 55 Habs. Rather than Montreal for entertainment to feel like a chance. Rather play Tampa over Ottawa. We are 4-0 against them. 1-3 against 4. You see, the issue, the scary thing about like Tampa to me is, and then the time was that without their best, or one, not their best, but one of their best players, one of their best goal scorers, and Jake Gensel. I don't know if he changes the needle a ton, but in a playoff series.
The Leafs were also without one of their best players in David Camp tonight. Come on.
Jake McCabe, you could actually argue.
Oh, yeah.
But I get scared of Vasilevsky in the playoffs. Like that'd be the only thing that ears me towards Ottawa over the Lightning.
I'm not scared. I honestly, after 2023, the Leafs know what they're doing against Vasilevsky.
I agree. I still would
Like-
rather play the Senators, even after tonight's game.
Sure. No. And that's kind of, I don't
And
know
again,
if I've
this is going to be a
changed-
conversation for the next week, though.
Right, because it can.
But
still
also,
change.
I would much rather play a Florida team that played Tampa than a Florida team that played whoever the alternative would be, right? So, I mean, there's some
It
people
doesn't
out there that
matter.
would rather play Florida than Tampa. I'm sure, not many, but guarantee you there's some.
I'm sure there's people out there, and I think that argument, like you're saying, like you'd rather play a certain team in the second round. Like I don't think it matters. At some point, like I think you just got to win. You
No,
just gotta
I agree
beat
with that.
whoever's up next.
I'm just
That's-
saying, as it pertains to Florida being beat up or anything like that. Like if you're really
Yeah.
going that deep, I also
Yeah.
could see a world where, I mean, you could see a world where the Lightning upset Florida, but you could see a world where everybody upsets everybody. So it's like, that being said, Habs getting pumped in 5 games, no matter who they play.
I think Scott in the chat a little while ago had a good point that Montreal still has some playoff experience on that team, right? There's a couple guys that have played playoff games, and I don't think
And-
that's scary, but I
And
think that
Ottawa
is something.
doesn't.
Ottawa barely. I mean, their big fish at the deadline was Dylan Cousins, who's played negative. I don't think this guy ever thought he was going to play a playoff game in his career, and now like he's in this position. So, like Kachuk, he could be scary in the playoffs, but honestly, like that's one guy. The rest of the team, we don't know what they're going to be like in the playoffs. They've never been there. So this is kind of my thing about the Leafs being the instigators. If you go into a series against Ottawa and you become instigators, you can, and you initiate certain things, you can beat them up. You can really like do some damage there, but I don't know. We haven't seen it yet, but don't know if I'm scared of either team. I think Allmark's a better goalie than Montembeau, right? So that is something as well. Don't like playing hot goalies. You never know what happens in the playoffs, but
I mean, yeah, I think like
there's no good matchup. These are all good teams. There's a better matchup, I'm sure.
Are the
if
Habs a
you
good
deep
team?
dive.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. The
Panthers-
Leafs also haven't beaten Ottawa all year.
Yeah, I don't know how much that matters.
It doesn't, because in 2001,
I'm saying,
the Leafs lost 6 times to the Senators and then swept them in the first round.
Jim, we will
So,
have a brief call in a little bit. Yep, we'll have him. We'll have a brief call in a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's always a conversation. Oh, Eric with the 13.99. My
There we
thing
go.
froze. Eric, thank you very much. Again, your ad support's been crazy. I don't care who we play in the first round. Got to win 4 ends, win the cup. Playoffs is different than the regular season. Let's go, Leafs. now we go. Now we go is
There we
true.
go.
Now we go into hopefully next week's going to be probably the most. It's going to be like a calm before the storm for everybody, and like video wise as well, because we're going to be days away from what's. I mean, we can call it how it is. This is the biggest playoff run in up until the past of the Core 4 era, and you could say that every year, but Mitch Marner's future relies on this. John Tavares' future relies on this. All these different things, and it's wild. At the end of the day, though, like I think the 80th percentile outcome or something like that is Ottawa versus Leafs at this point. Like things would have to go very different for that not to be the outcome after tonight, because I think the Leafs will win the Atlantic pretty easily. Finishing this off, they got through the gauntlet. They got 1 point, which like it's no, you got 2 points. You got 2 points. Sorry, they got 2 points. They basically split the games. So the 1-1 lost one. They didn't basically. They literally split the games. They won one and they lost one. But of course, Tampa got a point. That's what you could have asked for. Like if you told us you would have, as it pertains to just winning one and losing one, no matter how it happens, they played terrible yesterday. You take that, and that's basically what you needed to get the job done. And I'd assume Craig Bruba's pretty happy without Jake McCabe, but yeah, I think I'm on the Ottawa side here. I think I'm on the. I mean, I've been on the Ottawa side the whole time, and I think in a 7-game series, most of the time, the team that is better will win, and I think the Leafs are just now. I mean, and I'm only saying that, and allow me to. I know that's gonna get some, but the Leafs haven't been better. They weren't better than the Bruins last year. Like in theory, they were, but they. That's
Yeah, I know what you're
in
saying.
my head.
Yeah,
That's closer than the Leafs and Senators. Is all I'm saying. That being said, though, the Leafs find a way to get pumped every year. So
yeah, and it's gonna be. I don't know if my opinion's fully changed. I still think Tampa's a good matchup. A lot of people like you can look on paper and be like maybe it's not, but I just think it is. Ottawa though, I'm really warming up to that idea. I think that like that's going to be exciting. And the bragging rights that are available there for both sides, obviously I hope the Leafs win, are insane.
yeah,
Like that's going to be amazing to watch. And I think the more I think about like Allmark's a great goalie, that's a little worrisome, right? But the rest of the team, like the defense has no playoff experience. They have some decent pieces, but their defense has
yeah.
zero playoff experience.
Yeah,
Like
I think I need to
the rest of
hop
the
in
team.
and rephrase what I said. Let me rephrase before it gets clipped. The the Senators would be objectively the worst team the Leafs have played in the playoffs on paper in several years. You don't think so? I don't think it's close.
The 2021 Canadians were way worse to me on paper.
Several
way
years.
worse.
I said several years.
Sure. Okay.
So
okay,
since the
okay.
Canadians, if you want to go there and whether you
Okay,
want
okay.
to go there,
I agree with that.
I still
agree with
think
that.
Ottawa's a bit worse than the Canadians, but I mean it kind of depends. So if the Leafs were to lose to the Senators in 7 games, or in a 7-game series, they were never going to go far at all. Like there's just no world.
Right. Well, that's the problem. I think that's a good point. Right. Like this is all done if they lose to the Senators in a 7-game series. This is all done. Like,
yeah, and then
changed.
you could. I mean, hockey's weird, but like if you lose to the Senators first round, I don't think you would have beat the Panthers first round. Like clearly they would have been unprepared to some degree, right? So that's kind of where my head has been with it. And yeah, maybe the Montreal Canadiens. I removed that series. From my brain.
Yeah.
Bruins
Have
last
the
year
Ottawa
were worse.
Senators ever won
Do
a
you guys
Battle of
think
Ontario?
that? I'm very curious. Maybe I'm just too low on the Senators.
I know what you were saying about the Bruins, but the Bruins were actually much worse. Like the Leafs losing that series was incredibly
No, I agree with
embarrassing.
that. I agree with that.
Incredibly,
Do you think the Senators or the Bruins
Senators
last
are a
year
better
are
team.
better than the Senators this year?
No, the Senators are a better team than the Bruins last year. The Bruins winning last year was a joke. Absolute joke.
699. I got a question for you guys. If you lock first in the Atlantic, do they rest the core for the rest of the games? I think they need it. Probably, yeah. I don't think they're not going to lock. I don't think they're going to lock it up in time to.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to lock it up in time. It's a good question though.
I think they played this weekend.
You're probably right on paper, but even then, like let me ask you this question: who would you rather play? The Bruins of last year or the Senators of this year? Like you're going to go Senators of this year.
No.
Interesting.
The Bruins of last year. If everyone's healthy with this year's team, the Bruins of last year.
Interesting.
For sure.
See, I disagree, but we can agree to disagree. Only because of the way the Bruins play. I think they are a way more experienced playoff team. They play a way worse brand of hockey that favors the Leafs less. I think I would much rather play a team as inexperienced as the Senators, especially after the ghost of the Bruins that we've seen for so many years, and that's what happened last year. The Bruins match up way better than the Senators do this year. regardless of the skill on paper, at least to me. Like,
I think that's a fair point, but I didn't see them. I thought it was embarrassing last year.
oh,
I
it
thought.
was. It was really bad.
But we'll
But you
see.
can
I
also
think it's
see
going
the
to end up being
experience in the Bruins. Like, anytime the Leafs
sure.
went back to that Sheldon Keefe style of play, the Bruins every single time took advantage of that. I'm just not quite sure the Senators would do that given their lack of experience. But
Well, remember that famous quote? I think we're alive. Remember from Sheldon Keefe, where other teams set up the Leafs to beat the or whatever it was. That was the
get out of
craziest
there.
quote of all time. Set up every other team sets up the Leafs to beat themselves. What does that mean, man? What does that mean?
I'm also
Good
very
luck in New
low,
Jersey.
and then this could age badly. I'm fine being a hot take merchant on this one. I am not very high on the Senators whatsoever.
They're a very skilled team. They have some great pieces. Playoffs are a different animal. They have no playoff experience. I mean, Claude Giroux. I want to look through this lineup and see how many playoff games that they have, because I can think of maybe 2 guys.
I'm gonna look through as well.
Like, okay, so Perron's won a Stanley Cup, right? He's played playoff games. Other than that, I mean, you're looking at Claude Giroux, and like, has Adam Gaudette played in the playoffs? If not, then you have 2 guys in the forward group, and then Nick Jensen has played playoff games, I think, and that's it. And Allmark.
Which is funny, Bruins goalie. So
Right. But
the backup goalie.
But this is the thing. The Leafs have never been, and I would like to see it this year, initiators in the playoffs. They do not. If they do that this year, they should run over the Senators, because the Senator, like, playoff experience is a whole thing. This is the Senators, like, dipping their toe in this era of their players, right? So we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. Ottawa doesn't scare me. I mean, I'm just gonna have a die on the hill, I think, because I mean, if they end up,
Sometimes
if we
we got
lose to the Senators, it's so over. It's never been more
Yes.
over. I don't think.
Yeah.
If the Leafs history scares me far more than the Sens. That's fair.
I think if the Leafs lose, okay, let's do this exercise. Everyone in the chat. If the Leafs lose to the Senators, which is looking like they're going to play each other in the first round, if they lose to the Senators in the first round, I feel like Mitch Marner is done in Toronto. The Leafs will not. It's not about him not wanting to resign. The Leafs will not resign him, and I think most people will be good with that.
Yeah.
Am I right there? I don't. Am I? Because it's a real possibility. It could happen. I just think that the Leafs are actually a little bit different this year. We'll see. It's got to happen next week. I think Daniel's not wrong here either. Like, this is a very well-built Leafs team. It's very good. So stressful, Eric, talking about the first-round opponent. This is what we do.
We have to now.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Yeah, I would be over it. I would be very over it. Oh, watch out. Hey, let's calm down. Watch how we're talking about JT there, Prophet. Hold on now. He doesn't have to go. No, but I think they would need a shakeup. Like, I think you even look at JT and just be like, maybe we go in a different direction. Which would be, maybe you can go younger. I don't know who's available, but I haven't looked at it yet. But
Yeah, 1 second here.
he can be the scapegoat if he does not perform. He can be that, and also his contract is up. Unfortunately, Nylander, you can't move him anymore, and I would never move Matthews unless the injury's a lot worse than we thought. But if the Leafs lose to the Senators, Marner gone, and I will wear a Sens jersey for the next round. Well, I don't know about that.
All right, we're back. Any big names?
I would cling on to another team, that's for sure. I don't know who. There's a couple of good stories in the playoffs this year, but I would like to watch my team deep into the playoffs this year.
Eric, we're already on the free agency watch. JT will take a pay cut, so we can stay 100%. The Leafs lose to the Sens. Marner gone, and I'll wear a Sens jersey for the next round. Yeah, no world. I'd be sad. Though I mean,
as punishment, it's as punishment, not for entertainment, not for his own enjoyment.
Man, leave it to us to talk about losing to the Senators and Mitch Marner leaving before the playoffs start. And you know what? It's perfectly realistic. It is extremely realistic.
I feel like I'm having the same conversation.
Not
as
this
I
year
was in
though.
2023.
We're winning.
No, I feel better this year. Like, if there's no injuries or migraines,
They're winning the cup
weird
this year.
stuff.
If Jake McCabe plays.
Can you imagine saying that last year?
Philip Myers.
Key to the cup is Jake McCabe. It's true.
At this point, yeah. I think he'll be fine. We'll probably get an update on him actually Friday.
Yep, they'll probably be skating, and then we'll get something there.
At least get rid of
Didn't
Murray.
rule him out for this weekend. He could return this weekend. So
You said what?
they didn't rule him out for this weekend.
Was that a thing?
He was not. Yeah, like he's not. He didn't play this trip, obviously.
Oh, yeah, they
but
skated. He'll be fine.
Weekend.
They'll be good for the playoffs. Like they might rest a few guys, but I mean, what's the schedule like? I mean,
Back to back Saturday, Sunday, and then they got 2 games next week. That's it.
like you're kind of fine.
Yeah.
Man, that Saturday game's gonna be big though. Montreal Canadiens. Wow, that game is gonna be crazy. 7 p.m. start. Montreal Canadiens on Saturday hockey night in Canada. First night of a back to back, but that game's at that point will matter a lot to the playoffs.
Yep.
Like if they win that, I think they basically secure their Atlantic Division. If Tampa Bay loses, like basically secure.
That would be the night. I think by
I don't know because there is okay.
They won't know their opponent till next week. Still,
I'm not worried about the opponent as much as I am them clinching the Atlantic because if you clinch the Atlantic, then you're fine from there. Like what you can't change what happens. Okay.
No.
So the Leafs
You should
officially
always
now
give yourself that.
they are
best shot.
3 points up. There's 4 games left. Let me do some math here. 4 games left, 3 points up on the Lightning, 6 points up on the so you don't have to worry about the Panthers anymore. It's literally only the Lightning. So there's no way the Leafs play the Lightning in the first round.
No, that's
no
very
way.
unlikely at this point. No. I think the only thing we're waiting to see is who the Leafs play, Florida or Tampa, or Florida or Ottawa.
Yes.
And it's
And
looking
it would be
very
Florida
likely that
if
it's
they
Ottawa.
fall, but they'd still have home ice advantage either way at this
They
point.
would, but they wouldn't in the second round, which could be. It's not problematic, but I
look.
think
Let's
it's a
go
big
through
deal.
this.
It's a big deal,
Yeah, it is a big deal.
especially if you go to a game 7, which
Don't
they
get
love
me
to do
started.
that.
Last year was heartbreaking. It's crazy that was a year ago. I literally remember being in Montreal for that game for whatever reason. All right.
Patches come back for the playoffs. Do they scratch Lawton? I don't believe so.
Zero chance.
I think it's either Jan
Lawton's
Krook
played fine.
at this point, or this is also assuming, by the way, what I'm saying. Holmberg's coming out for Kampf, but I think it's either Jan Krook or Robertson that comes out for him.
Yeah. So what
And
are the
I think
scenarios? I'm
it's-
trying to think of the scenarios in my head here. So they're 3 points back. Do the Leafs have the tiebreaker? Not that it. I mean, do the Leafs? They would have the tiebreaker over the Lightning, right?
Well, the Leafs have more wins right now, which would be, I believe, either that or points percentage is the tiebreaker.
Does someone know in the
they'd
chat if
be-
it's point percentage? I believe it's wins.
I think it's wins.
Can someone
I
confirm
think if
in the
they're
chat?
tied in wins, it's points percentage. I think it's
There's no
wins.
way they tie in wins though. Like unless,
Well,
God, yeah, don't. They would at least have to lose out.
yeah. Actually, they have a lot of overtime losses. I just took that in. I think the Leafs would still have the tiebreaker there.
Yeah, there's no world they don't.
But in terms of points, they can mathematically they can still fall to second.
Yeah.
Right? So,
So technically, the Leafs are like 5 points up for all intents and purposes on the Lightning. Then, yeah.
I think they can clinch. They can clinch it this weekend, depending on.
So
the
if
result.
they win one
result.
game and let's just say the Lightning lose one game, so they both played 79 games and they're up by 5 points with 3 games left, and they have the tiebreaker. That means they
you
clinch.
should be okay. You should be okay. Yeah.
Someone will have to. This is a good time for someone very analytically inclined to tweet that out. This
Also,
scenario,
everyone here in this photo has played the same amount of games,
which makes it easier.
way easier.
Like I don't think the Senators catch the Panthers because the Panthers are going to try to, at the very least, catch the Lightning.
Well, the Sens would not only have to catch them in terms of points, but wins.
Yeah,
and
they don't have
that's
the
not.
tiebreaker. I mean, they'd
I
have
don't
to.
think it's happening.
They'd have
It's
to
gonna
win
be
out.
Leafs and
They would have to
Senators.
win out. Essentially, they'd have to go 3-1. The Panthers had to go 1-3.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's regulation wins. Because that's what we figured. Well, yeah, we knew that. It is regulation wins. Yeah, correct. That's what we thought. Had to confirm. They'd be changing rules all the time. I feel like, especially for the sports. Yeah. So we should. Be
So the
good.
Leafs would be fine. I think the Leafs are going to finish first now. This tonight was a big game for that reason. I think the Leafs finish first now because of that.
Yep, they all have 4 games left. So.
Yep.
And it's probably the Senators because Panthers have the. Yeah, I mean it's tonight basically locked in the Senators. But
Which, by the way, out of town scoreboard, like I love watching every single playoff game that's on, and I'm assuming that the Lightning and the Panthers will be on a different night than the Leafs and Ottawa Senators. That's going to be amazing to watch, first of all, and the fact that one of them is going to go home in the second round and then you play whoever's left is good.
I know
think.
your
So,
ideal scenario would be like Leafs curb stomp the Senators in like 5 games, and then
play the
they
Lightning.
play the Lightning in
Yeah.
like after they went 7 games.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is funny because it's not. Now I'm not going to say the curb stomp, but playing the Lightning beating the Panthers, I don't think is super out of the out of the question. I think it's I mean, it's probably going to be one of their hardest opponents in the first round. So
Sure, yeah. But I think the other thing to keep in mind is the Lightning are probably going to finish with home ice here over the Panthers. And in their series, I think Aaron Ekblad returns at game 3, which would be a home game for the Panthers. So if it's a split, that is going to be tough for Tampa Bay. But enough about other teams. I think the Leafs are playing the Senators this year, and I think that's exciting. Just like entertainment value, Leafs and Ottawa, like in the first round, that is cool, man. Like, give me that.
yeah,
That's going to be fun.
Habs can
And
still
also very
pass.
stressful.
Yeah, I think Lightning at 6. Panthers, Tampa will kill each other, 100%.
Habs can still pass the Panthers if they lose the rest of their games. Yeah, but this is
The Habs can pass the Panthers? I don't think so.
yeah, the New York Rangers can also make the playoffs this year if they win every single one of their games and everyone loses.
Yeah, I guess they could technically.
But they could technically.
If
Yeah.
Habs go 4-0,
it's not very likely.
and the Panthers go 0-3, it'd be 95-94. I mean, there's no world. I've always enjoyed the term curb stomp in terms of hockey matchup. Yeah, I throw that one out there. I mean, it's, maybe it's. Let's
or any other term, like if you were to mix a skate in there, that would become very violent all of a sudden. So perhaps not that.
Throw
But I don't see Tampa beating Florida, but I do see that series going at least 6. Yeah, it would be a long series.
Leafs over Sens in 6, Florida over Tampa in 7, Leafs over Florida in 6. And then Leafs over who in the Stanley Cup final?
Well, conference final would probably be.
Let's just fast forward.
I think Washington's going.
Okay, Leafs over Washington in 4.
Going. Yeah.
If I have to watch Lane Hudson on my television screen in a playoff series, I would. Great player.
Empty calorie skater.
That's what we said game 1.
Beginning of the year. He's worked out pretty well.
64 assists or 64 points.
He's a good player.
I mean, he's a forward. He's a forward in a defenseman's box.
He's a left wing playing defense.
He actually, I mean, my brother would argue that he's good defensively.
The Rangers ended up losing that game. That is embarrassing. Oh my god.
Does Tampa beat Florida in the first round? How can you hate on Lane Hudson?
No, he's a great player. He's fun to watch.
Jim, I'll tell you exactly how. Because he's a Hab. All jokes aside, I like Lane. I mean, there was the helium, the hype around him was well deserved. It is. I mean, he shut me up. So
when we started this stream, I had to check it out because I was like, "There's no way the Rangers lost that game." After Gentlemen's Club said that, I just want to point this out. Last night, so the Vancouver Canucks came back and scored 3 goals in a minute to win their game. The Rangers were up 4-3 with a few minutes left. Nick, go ahead and guess the score, the final score of this game tonight.
6-3.
8-5.
Oh. That's possible.
Philly scored 4 goals in like 5 minutes.
Oh my god, there's 6 goals in the third. Shesterkin's washed.
That is.
It wasn't even Shesterkin. That's why. It's Jonathan.
Carolina and Toronto Eastern Conference Final. I think the Leafs would beat Carolina actually.
Wait, it wasn't who? Yeah, it was Quick.
Quick was in net. Yep.
To be fair, multiple empty goals.
Not Shesterkin. Settle down now. Not Shesterkin.
Sound like a final will be Florida versus Avs. I'm not putting that into the world. I'm not doing it. I refuse to do. You want to throw the number for Shane or for Jim?
Yep.
I mean, it's the same number as always, Jim. But Lane is a foundation player. Yeah. Yeah. He's very good. Habs fans are interesting, but he's very good. Realistically, like, if he figures out defense a little bit better, he'll be a top 3 defenseman in the league. Top 3, probably.
He has the tools. I'll tell you that. He's a good player.
Doesn't scare me. The Habs don't scare me. Where am I reading? What's your preferred path the whole way through? Me is Senators, Panthers. It gets weird in the conference. I think the Leafs match up decently with the Avalanche. Maybe Carolina in the Cup final, or in the conference final.
It's possible. I still think Washington's just a heavier team. I think being heavy goes a long way in the playoffs. But
St. Louis, I mean, that'd be a dream. I feel like I know. I feel like Leafs would do fine.
They're hot right now, man. They could. I think Winnipeg would be cool.
Man, feed
Colorado
me
would be a
that. Can you imagine?
Colorado would be a tough matchup,
In the
but
cup?
Winnipeg would be really cool, man. Imagine Toronto and Winnipeg for the cup. Two Canadian teams.
To be honest, I don't know. I don't know if I love that for
No,
Toronto.
not necessarily. No.
I don't know if I love that for Toronto. For the country of Canada, though, like I can see it now. The Leafs getting Connor Hellebuck but he sucks in the playoffs, so maybe it would be fun. He blows in the playoffs. Oh boy, Jim with 20 gifted. First of all, Jim, you probably just hit or were very close to hitting 100 members, which means because me and Darius were looking yesterday or 2 days ago, so we can add more members. So I think we just almost hit it. Might be a few away. Second of all, your support's unbelievable. If you got gifted a membership right before the playoffs from Jim, we'll get a Matthew Nyes emoji coming up soon. Thank Jim in the chat. Every single person. They're still going. Wow. Jim, we're going to get a Matthew Nyes emoji.
They're still loading in here.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Welcome in, everyone. And
emojis. I know we needed some more members to unlock the playoff emojis. So Jim, I think you just helped towards that to unlock some big playoff emojis.
Absolutely. And welcome everybody in who is now a member. Thank Jim in the chat that you are now a member. And thank you, Jim. Your support has been unbelievable all year, spreading the wealth. Love to see that. But yeah, we're very, very close here, and we're going to have some new stuff for the playoffs. Don't want to debut it yet. We're kind of in this weird spot before the playoffs. So we'll have some fresh stuff for you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But we want to see some emojis being spammed here in the chat. Let's get
we got a membership spam some emojis. Also, we will have a new, or a slightly altered intro for the playoffs as well.
Correct.
But it will still have the same song. I know you guys love the song. People ask us to put it on Spotify, which honestly might have to be done.
That probably will be done.
Because it hits on games like tonight. And the playoffs. You imagine a playoff win. I know every lyric to the song.
That's a good song.
There
we go.
Yeah, everybody's spamming all the emotes. If you want to become a member, it's pretty cheap, and you get access to a bunch of emotes, priorities of Collins, all these different things. So, Benoit, the bulldozer train from Mad Max. Benoit had a good game too.
Benoit had he was noticeable.
Yeah, I'm good. May have been a stretch. Where was he on the I think he was fine.
He made some decent plays actually. He made some good clearings. Well, there's a couple where I was like,
I love how he just takes the guy out and just holds him there against the boards. Like
you can do it. You can do it. I don't know why people think you can't.
What's up, positive? People are asking, to drop on Spotify. Be a big Spotify.
We got to get it out there. We'll get it out there. We'll get it out there for you guys. We'll work on it.
We'll get a we'll drop the song and some merch, and then we'll be all good to go. Benoit's an amazing D-man pair. All the emotes, we got a ton of them now. We got the Benoit train. We got, of course, Superman, Willie Nylander, Stolarz, Berube. Some of these I can't even. Yep, there's Wall in there. There's the belt. There's the purple goat.
We got Chef Tree in there as well.
Chef Tree Living for the trade deadline. Or the Brandon Carlo trade, for example. Ben really coughed one up.
That's right.
Yeah. You take some, you give some with Benoit, which is scary in the playoffs for sure. Because you're going to be taking a lot.
There's
going to be taking a lot of them.
There's a little bit more than a little, I think, with him. But
hey, his advanced analytics are actually very good.
Very good. Very good. I know. He is he's great. I love Simone Benoit. I'm just joking.
Holmberg and Lawton out, Camp and Pacioretty in. You see, let me alter that. Holmberg and Nick Robertson out, Camp and Pacioretty in. I will shave my head if Scott Lawton is not in the lineup for game 1. I will not do that, actually. I will be very shocked. I can't guarantee that because there is a chance that happens. Very low, though.
Oh, that's a little much. I don't think that happens.
I don't think so either.
Hey, we'll see. We'll see.
Where's my Leaf Digest hoodie? We can, if the demand is there, merch can be done.
We'll get some merch done if y'all want some.
If the demand is there. It would be very limited time merch, though.
Right. It'd be a drop. Is that what they call them?
Yeah, it is. That's what the kids call them these days. It would be a drop. A very limited time amount of merch. Get some. If they make a playoff run, we can definitely get some.
Yeah, we can get some fun
If they get
stuff on.
pumped first round by the Senators,
Leafs make it past the first round. We'll talk. We'll talk about some exclusive stuff.
we'll get
But
a curb stomp merch. We will not do that. We will not do that.
those will fly off the shelves.
They would though. We trade a first and Gurbankin for another Cal Yarncrook. You know, I think Lawton's been not good, but it's okay.
Come on, guys. He's not Cal Yarncroke. He shoots left. Come on, can you be real for a second? Come on, guys.
I do think he's been more impactful than Cal.
Cal Yarncroke also. He is what he is. He's been out half the year, more than half the year, I guess. But
Gurbankin is better. No,
not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, we're the new Nelk boys dropping. No, not there. We're not going to. We'll get some.
Drop Leafs Digest merch.
Leafs the news. Leafs Digest Supreme collab. That'd be hilarious. Can you imagine that?
That would be. We'll work on it, guys. We'll work on it. Very exclusive, very limited time offer.
Yeah, because we don't have any. I do have Jay's Digest merch somewhere, but limited production. All right, let's get Jim in here in 1 second. If you're in here and you haven't hit the like button, we're 21 away from 100. Shout out to everybody who's supporting Jim again. The 20 members. We'll have tons of new emotes for the back-to-back. Though I don't think Darius is here Saturday, so it might just be me.
Yes, I might be there.
Biggest game of the year.
Big game. Montreal Canadiens.
That's one I'm going to be there in.
We are. Sorry to cut you off. We're 20 likes away from 100 likes.
19 now.
If you're in here and you haven't liked yet,
all the lurkers out there.
Too.
All the lurkers. Let's do an Leafs Digest OVO collab would be.
I would like Drew House Leafs Digest collab. Let's do it.
Justin Bieber Leafs Digest collab.
Let's do it. Well, our sweaters or hoodies will be. You can wear them inverse as well.
I'll have the chevron too, like my I'll have the inverse like the. I cannot believe Matthew Nyes. I just watched it again. What a crazy pass.
Yep.
John Cooper on the Leafs. If they win the division, they deserve to beat us because they swept us this year. That's what it's going to come down to. We still have an opportunity to win, an opportunity to salvage home ice here. All the points are extremely important. An opportunity to salvage home ice. It's good that we got him down there.
I'm just saying, if John Cooper ever gets fired, whoever the Leafs coach is at that time, you're fired that day too. Because that guy loves the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't know what it is,
Greg
but
Berube on the Matthew Nyes pass. Not sure I recommend that play, but guys, try things.
He did that. You know how, like, man, Matthew Nyes has aura. That's right now, dude. Between the legs pass, cross crease.
I just like
guy misses it
because like, what's the worst that happens there? You know, he said he spoke out on the pass, saw the D, flipped his hips, and the play was open. And Matthews, I was having trouble believing what I was seeing. That's hilarious. These are good quotes, man.
Very good quotes tonight. That was the most aggressive empty net, like, put in ever, or put back, whatever you want to call it.
And I'm happy that because I didn't think they were. Like, I was like, oh my! I got off my feet, off my office chair. I was like, they're gonna score, and then they didn't score, and then they scored again. Well, they scored. Yep. I was like, holy cow! What an incredible win. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to be fair. And also, again, I think overtime should be 10 minutes. I was worried we were having to settle that with a shootout. I do love John Cooper, Team Canada coach. I don't think they fire Craig Berube. How long is his contract? I don't remember the exact term. Was it
I don't actually remember at all. Yeah, I
think it was 3 years.
Yeah,
4 years. It was 4 years.
4 years. I think that's pretty standard for coaches now at this point. No more 8-year contracts and then fire them in the middle of it. Mike Babcock.
Yep, 4 years.
Shall we get Jim in here?
Jim,
there we are.
Welcome in. First of all, thank you for your generosity this evening. 20 gift to members. We helped us towards getting some new emotes. Second of all, the Leafs win. Good vibes. Jim, we're now about a week away. About's a stretch. We're about a week and a few days away from what we've been waiting for the past 300 days. So it is. It's that time of year. I'm curious to see what you have to say tonight, and thank you again for the members.
Yeah, no problem, guys. As always, I support the channel just because, you guys are the best, and I like supporting you guys and what you do here. But that aside, guys, yeah. So as far as the merch stuff we're talking about, a lot of the stuff we're talking about is like Toronto-based stuff. But I've got a much better idea, which will really land with you, I think, Nick. I spent a lot of time in the East Coast doing some traveling over the last like 10 or 15 years. I think we should have a Leaf Digest Irving gas station collab, because with those two, I'm a big fan of their gas, but also a big fan of their food in there. A huge fan, Nick. Just something to consider there. But
I'm in. My friend had taquitos from there today, just to
yeah,
throw
I'm
them
telling
out.
you,
So that was the
yeah,
pre-work snack today. So I'm all in on that.
lots of things I love with the East Coast. Irving's is in my top five, buddy. I'm telling you. But guys, you know what? It's funny, right? You look at the year when the Leafs started off this year, there was lots of questions, right? There are questions about things like, will Joseph Wallbill stay healthy? That was a big question mark, if you remember. Will the core four be able to, step up when it counts? And although we haven't seen that in the playoffs yet, we've got some good indications that may actually happen where maybe it hasn't in the past. And then one of the biggest questions is, having Craig Berube step in as the coach, having a full year under his belt, can that actually have make this team more playoff ready and change the identity of a team that has struggled to find one? I think, guys, we've in the last last night's game aside, I think we've really kind of got an answer to that last one, which is probably the biggest question we still have to answer. And I think the possibilities of that being yes, I think are looking stronger than ever. You've got a team that I think this Leaf team traditionally we just kind of like fall back, and they when there's a lot of pushback or things don't go their way and things aren't easy. This is a team that historically has liked the easy path and not the tough one. And you've seen them just kind of like fall back and be like, okay, don't worry, guys, we'll get them next time kind of mentality. And I don't think we're seeing that with this team, guys. And I think a lot of that can be credit, obviously, to the man that put the team together. But I think a big part really to Berube. He had some tough words for the in Berube style, of course. Had some tough words for the boys after the game last night. He stopped short of calling them soft, but pretty close to that. And I think in terms of for hockey players, I think that's one of the toughest things for a hockey player to hear is anything close to is questioning their commitment and their overall toughness as a team, guys. And I think they stepped up to that challenge tonight. And I've got some more specifics about players and stuff. But yeah, I'm impressed with what he's brought, and equally impressed with how the team responded tonight.
Yeah, they not only did they respond, and I thought that they would because last night was horrible, and I was like, okay, clearly Berube is gonna
Glad I
have
missed that
something to
game.
say about that. Yeah, like not a good one to watch, that's for sure. But they did respond, and early they started on time, and they were off and running up 2 goals in the first like 5 minutes, right?
Game did
So
not start on time, but
they that's right. The game took a while to get going there, but no, they responded very well tonight, and I'm glad to see that because that can go a long way, I think, in the playoffs. And like you said, we still need to see it for sure in the playoffs. Like, unfortunately, we have to wait till game one to actually see some of this that we've been waiting for, of course, and how it, actually goes in the playoffs. But there's been a lot of positive signs this year with this team. And a game like this tonight, like, pretty gutsy win. And, a lot of guys chipped in. There was a fight, of course. It was very physical. I was expecting it to be. Said it last night. It was going to be a physical game. And it was, and I thought they stepped up to the challenge, and not just the entire team, because I don't think anyone like had a game where you could be like that. This guy had a horrible game, but the top line stepped up when the team needed them most, and they had that one shot of Matthews on the Tampa Bay tying goal to make it 3-3 after blocking the shot. His shin pads, his socks. Get this guy some new
Yeah.
socks. There are so many holes in his socks, I think, from blocking shots this year. He's been unbelievable on the defensive side of the puck. So there's some good signs, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think too, you can probably say, like, again, getting back to like what Berube has brought. Like, I don't know, Darius, that you're going to see that level of commitment to blocking shots from the team as a whole under previous coaches. I mean, someone in the chat said something about, made some chirp of, I think it was actually Crank said, talking about how like this will be the first time we've had a Keith free playoff run in a while, right?
Yeah.
And I think, there's part of this team, right, where I think like the identity, we talked about it before in terms of team toughness. Well, team toughness doesn't necessarily just mean fighting, and it's standing up for your teammates and all the other things that I personally enjoy, but it's also blocking shots and doing the tough, awful, painful stuff and sacrificing your body for the significance of the team. And I think, I think Berube's done a lot more of that kind of stuff, and actually like, and requested it, and the guys have responded really well to that as well. Guys, in terms of Matthew Nyes, God, I've talked enough about on this channel about how much I love this kid and what he brings. But yes, he's a, we've talked about before about his power, for how I think he looks like an old school power forward, but he's like an uber skilled one too, right? And you saw some of the moves, the inside out, and you see like, his moves and the dangles and the hands this kid has. There is so much upside to his game. His finish is good, and I think him being with Matthews and Marner, obviously two of the more skilled guys in the league, definitely on our team, has only benefited him. And unlike many of his teammates, like Matthew Nyes has pretty much always been with those two guys. There's been, the odd juggle up, I think, but given I think there's been a lot of absorption by osmosis because of the proximity he has and the familiarity he has with those two players. And I can see some of the best parts of both of their games start to show through a little bit in what he brings in his game, and I think it's only going to get better. I think moving forward, as far as signing him, boy, I'm interested to see what that contract looks like, because he's not unlike the possibility of JT. Nyes, the way his play is, he's not looking at any sort of team friendly deal next year.
Yeah, he's going to. I think Paul Bissonnette tweeted, sign him now to 8 years, 8.5 million AAV. I mean, that'll be a conversation for the offseason, but I mean, there's a lot of conversations for the offseason. I think Matthew Nyes will be that guy. I think he's going to be a big piece of this team going forward. And, maybe that was, thank you, Kyle Dubas, for that draft. I'll give him some rare flowers because I hate on him all the time. Yeah, it's, I don't know. I think Matthew Nyes, like you mentioned it, he played great. I think we saw the beginning of what was going to be a special player, but also a special season this year in the playoffs last year against the Bruins. And we talked about it at the time in the post-game streams. We had a little bit, of course, the videos as well. Like, he just always rises up to the occasion, and he did it today. Like, this was a playoff atmosphere. My heart was going a little bit there in overtime, hoping that the Leafs could pull it off, and they did. But yeah, that's the scary part of it. With each goal he scores, he's increasing his AAV by $250,000, maybe more than that. So it's a little bit scary on that front. They're going to keep him. There's no doubt in my mind they're going to keep him. It's just at what price. And then, like you mentioned earlier, Darius did at least, Mitch Marner situation, John Tavares situation. There's other ones too. Nick Robertson, like there's some other guys, Steven Lorentz. I mean, it's Max Petro. I'm going to keep him in there, but some of the other guys as well. So you're right, Matthew Nyes. The contract's scary. Let's win the cup, and then none of that matters.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I just think, like, I haven't looked at the numbers, guys, but I think tonight, God, he must be right at what, 28, 29 goals now?
I believe he's
29. 29. Yeah.
29. Yeah. So the chances of him potting that 30th goal, yeah, let's face it, 29, or rather 30 looks a lot better than 29. Yep. But I really love his game, guys, and the confidence that he shows. And tonight, you guys showed the video too of him in the box and still like giving it to him verbally to his opponent. I love that stuff. Like, I just love it because we've seen lots of great players on this team that are just kind of shrinking violets when it comes to the tougher, more rugged part of the game. And the fact that Nyes isn't doing that, in fact, almost seems to be almost enjoying and thriving in the adversity, is a great sign in the playoffs. I think moving forward. And last week,
just to interject there, because I love that stuff too, and we saw it last year with Pasternak, where he was pushing Pasternak around and asking him what he was going to do. That stuff goes a long way, I think, in the psyche of a game and like the playoffs and how long series goes, and guys will think about that stuff like games down the line. And he was like barking at Cernak and telling him that nobody can understand what you're saying. Like, that feels bad. Then you got to sit in the box. Like, I love that type of stuff. And then he's making faces at him. You know what I mean? Like, that's I can't remember
Yeah,
the last time the Leafs, like that's Darcy Tucker stuff. This is what we've been talking about in the
absolutely,
chat, right? So I love that stuff. But sorry, just to
absolutely.
cut you off
Yeah.
there.
No, no,
I can't get
I
enough of that
couldn't.
stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Darius. It's just it's funny stuff. But that's I think too. It's like if you look at just how the Leafs have performed against past opponents, I think the Leafs just kind of inherently just give too much respect to their opponents, and maybe it was kind of like not a fear, but like they'd rather fail in terms of physicality than be outshone in terms of their performance. And now I think when you got guys like Knies that are doing stuff like that, it takes a lot of the shine off that. And I think that's the edge we're looking for. And that's all I'll say about that, guys. And lastly, just on Benoit, listen, I know I like him. I know he's polarizing and whatever, but to me, he does his job reasonably well most of the time. Which is not exactly the biggest praise of a good goalie, but when it comes to like tonight, I think he had a pretty good game for him. Nick, I don't know what you're laughing at, but I'd love to know, buddy.
Just
But anyways, when it comes to Benoit, I think tonight he had a couple like real big gaffes in their own end. One in particular where he like whiffed on a puck and it didn't get it out. It just came short of the blue line and it almost caused a goal. But you know what? I think come the playoffs, his size and his frame are going to pay us dividends.
scrolled up and read the chat and found someone was laughing how I said we've been waiting for this for the past 300 days. So I just was laughing at myself there. But
Oh,
Also, I hate to admit it, but Ryan Reeves is back in the chat, and I looked over, and it got me to
oh
smirk a
no.
little bit. I will admit that.
Oh, is Ryan back? Oh, I
Also,
didn't notice that.
Only
Man.
Ryan. The rest
only
of the
Ryan.
team is on the
We were
plane.
one
I
like
guess, but-
away from 100 as well if we get in there. But yeah,
Oh,
Darius,
wow.
I'll let you speak there. I was just laughing at myself. It's true though. 300 days. I counted the days since we got eliminated. So it's been less than that. But
Oh,
No.
my God. Awesome.
It's been.
And that's what Go ahead, Darius.
I was gonna say I was thinking about this today because the playoffs are around the corner, and I feel like I've been watching like some old, like I've been going back and watching old playoff highlights of the Leafs, kind of where they went wrong, and other teams who go
Sure.
on runs. And I was watching like the Capitals run from 2018, and I was like, man, Devontae Smith-Pelly's not even in the league anymore, but he was that guy. So I was thinking today, like, I
Right.
don't want to put you on the spot here, but who do you think could be the Leafs like
Yeah.
guy where it's like it's not Austin Matthews, not Mitch Marner, but if you go on a deep playoff run, he's the guy that's scoring goals? Because I have one in mind, but I'm curious
Ooh,
to
ooh.
hear what who yours is.
Oh wow, that's a good question. And that's the thing. And I think, like you're saying, Darius, you'll have a lot of guys that typically you're going to think, okay, it's going to be. You're talking about from the Leafs, correct?
From the Leafs, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so, oh boy, off the top of my head, you mean like consistently scoring goals? Because that's a tougher question.
A guy that comes out of nowhere and you're like, man, he is scoring a ton of goals this play. Like he is having a playoffs, right? Because there's always that one
yeah,
guy on the team that goes deep.
Yeah, I have a guy, and I think no one's going to agree with me, but I think just because I think he's kind of like, a new version, and obviously different skill set, different time. But like, if you remember Justin Williams, Mr. Game 7, from years ago, okay, I think this guy has the potential in the playoffs at least to be that guy. And my guy, I think it's possibly Steven Lorenz. It's a dark night, but I don't mean consistently scoring, but I think he's a guy that could show up and actually score some timely goals out of unexpected fashion. As far as a guy that I think will consistently score, I still have to. I think it's going to be McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my guy.
Yeah, that's a guy I was thinking. I like Lorentz. I think Lorentz is going to be that guy where it's like a 1-1 game and it's like coming down to the wire, or maybe an overtime and he's just in the right spot at the right time. Like he really strikes me as that type. But McMahon to me in the playoff, like I feel like picking Knies is too obvious. He scored 30 goals this year, or he's about to score 30 goals this year, and a couple of other guys on the team. Like it's a little too obvious. But to me, McMahon is the type I feel like he's going to be buzzing around out there, flying around. And there was a couple hits tonight where I'm like, man, if you bring that in the playoffs, like that's going to be a difference maker. He's flying around out there. So if he can do that, and I think Max Domi is a good one too. Like he can kind of come alive in the playoffs. We've seen that before, not last year, but we've seen it before. But I think McMahon can be that guy too. But there's always that one guy. I don't know how to explain it. Like Jeremy Williams. Was it Justin Williams? Justin Williams? I get that mixed up. Justin, yeah. I think Jeremy Williams was a Leaf for like 3 games.
That's correct.
But yes, I think like there's always that one guy. And I was thinking back to the Washington Capitals run where I was like, man, DSP didn't. I don't even think he played in the NHL after that. and he was unbelievable for them in that run. So there's always that one guy. I thought that was interesting as we get towards the playoffs here.
Yeah, well, and there is, and historically, even if you look just at the Leafs, like there's always that, the guy that you wouldn't expect that kind of steps up, right? And that's always those interesting playoff stories. And so, yeah, I think when you look at I think McMahon especially, I don't personally, I don't like the fact that they dropped him to the third line. I thought he was playing, even though he has not done enough, and maybe that's more about getting Willie going. I don't know, but I don't like that move. But I do like McMahon's game a lot. And you mentioned his physicality, and yeah, I'm man. I wish I could just press a button and have the playoffs start today because I'm so pumped. So pumped to see him and Knies and basically this whole team and see what kind of damage they can do, possibly against Ottawa. Well, I think I still love that matchup, but I'm going to die on that cross.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I think it's going to be entertainment value. I keep saying it, like the Leafs and Sens. That's going to be unbelievable to watch. And the Leafs, they have to win. So I think that's great for us.
Well, and guys, I know Nick is going to hate that I'm going to say this, but oh well. I'm calling it right now, and I said it the other day in the chat, and I don't think Nick was here for it. I stand behind this, Nick. I think that Washington is primed for a upset, and I think Montreal is going to upset them, and that's part of that President's Choice, or President's Trophy. I think it's part of that curse, and and that's what I believe. I think don't shake your head yet. Let me finish. So every year, buddy, there's a team that falls in the first round. You look at Boston from a few years ago, set the record for the most points in the regular season, and then boom, they were gone. And New Jersey did it a couple of years, maybe many years before that. It happens every year. And so I think the way that Montreal has been playing, and I'm not a fan of Montreal, don't get me wrong. I mean, don't kick me off the channel, Nick. But I mean, although I have subscribed to your brother's channel, so I did look back up just in case. Yeah, no, I think that they are. I honestly, I think the way Montreal's playing, I think they're primed for success in the playoffs, and I think no one's more surprised than they are that they're in the position that they are, and I wouldn't be shocked if Washington goes down the first round. I would love that. Could you imagine if we play Ottawa, and then somehow we get down the road, we can play Montreal? Oh, guys, like this is the thing of
actually
my dreams are made of.
The thing with that, actually, that's interesting. I think it's still a bracket, but I think because the Leafs are lead a division, if they obviously win this division, I think they would play Montreal in that case. I could be wrong, but I think that would end up being the case because Washington would be gone. So that would be a little too much for me, I think. But no, that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
What? I think that would be a much easier path for us.
That's for sure. Well, it should be on paper, right? But you never know with this team.
Well, and that's the thing, though. You don't know, but you can only go with the information you have. And so, based on that, I'm hoping that the Habs can beat Washington, and that if Toronto can take care of their own business, then we can not cruise, but we have a much easier, less bumpy road to make it to the Eastern Conference Final, in my opinion. But
it would be better for the Leafs. Right. They're getting pumped in 4, though. Round 1.
You know what? The only thing I do ask Nick, and maybe you could put this to your brother as well, is that in the very unlikely event that the Leafs and the Habs do make it in there, I would love to have a call-in show during that series with all 4 members of Leafs and Habs Digest on the same call would be YouTube gold, in my opinion.
Yeah, that'll be done. That'll
it would happen. It would
I will
happen.
just be saying Lane Hudson is an empty calorie skater after every win. And then
that's gonna follow me around for a while. That's gonna.
No one clipped it though. You can still go back and clip.
I know. Say that the first game of the year, but no.
Yeah, we've all had bad takes, guys. I remember it was a few years ago. This is so bad. Your brother's gonna love this. So I saw for the first, I think it was the first 20 games. I was watching a couple Habs games when, oh my God, I can't remember his name now. One of their, prior to this year, a Habs player that scores a lot of goals for them, very nifty. What the hell's his name? Anyways.
That doesn't exist, I don't think.
Anyway, it doesn't matter, guys. I'm totally messing this up. But anyways, I called his player, one of his players who's still on their team, would had a lot of similarities to Austin Matthews, and my sons to this day will not let me live it down. So
He's still on the team?
yes.
Who is it? Brendan Gallagher? Who is it?
I don't want to say because I'm so embarrassed by that call. He's small, undersized.
Gallagher?
I can't remember.
It's Cole Caulfield.
Cole Caulfield. Like, we're talking about the worst take of all time.
Cole Caulfield is the best 50 goal scorer to never score 50 goals in the NHL.
Yes, there you go. That is a great call.
You know, at least he's a goal. I mean, he's just not.
He's a good goal scorer.
He's
mid. No, credit where credit's due. He's a decent goal scorer.
This year.
I did want to say before we wrap up here, Jim, you did make a mention of the Washington Capitals and teams. There's always that upset in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And if anyone wants to clip this, you can clip this because I believe very strongly in this. I believe very strongly in this year. Out of all the division leaders, all 4 of them, 2 of them will make the first or make the second round, I should say. And both of them are going to be the Washington Capitals and Toronto Maple Leafs. Say goodbye to the Vegas Golden Knights and the Winnipeg Jets in the first round. Woo! That's my hot take.
Wow, that is bold, and I like it. But you know what? There is something to that, because if you look up till like just last week, if you look at the West versus the East, the West for the last, let's call it 15 years, has historically been much stronger than the East, right? But when you look at who was eliminated first, who had the most teams eliminated, the West was like annihilated. Like half of the West was eliminated when there wasn't a single team in the East that was eliminated. So yeah, I mean, with the fact that Washington and some of these other teams in the West have obviously like way over 100 points already. Well, yeah, but half the crappy teams in the entire league are in your divisions. Of course, you're going to be like, dining out on that all season.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think your point has some validity, and Darius, frankly, I'm here for it, brother.
I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be fun. I'm all for chaos, except for this year because the Leafs are in first. So not the Leafs, please. But any other team, you can all go home as soon as possible. That's great. But I'm looking at the bottom of that Western Conference, like the wild card. I don't like it for Vegas or Winnipeg. I think they're gone. I don't know who's going to end up playing who still because they're tied in points, but I think one of them is gone, so that's going to be interesting. Well,
sorry guys, I'll let you go in a second here, but just off the top of my head, so who are in the wild card spots for the West right now? Because it's changing
right now. So Calgary's kind of still in the mix, but it's looking like it's at this point. They're just trying to determine who plays who in the first round. But right now it's Minnesota and St. Louis, and they're tied at 93 points.
Yeah, wow. Yeah,
so St. Louis right now would play the Winnipeg Jets. As if the playoffs were to start today.
Is Minnesota at 93? I thought they were at 91.
They just won. Their game just wrapped up. They just won. So they're now tied at 93 points. Yeah. Edmonton is also, although those 2 teams are in the Central, so they'll never catch Edmonton, but Edmonton's also at 93 points. So none of those 2 teams are catching the rest of the Central Division. So those are your wild card teams.
Yeah, and guys, I'll let you go on this. Here's my hot take: is that I'm not only calling for Washington to go out in the first round, I'm going to call 2 first-round dropouts, and my second one is the Edmonton Oilers first round getting knocked out. Honestly, they're primed for it. I really believe it. Like their goaltending is suspect. McDavid, I think he's going to come back, and then either tonight or the next game. But yeah, I honestly, I'm here for it, and I really think, and I'm not an Edmonton Oilers hater or anything. I just don't believe in that strength of that team, and I think they're way too top heavy, and they're what the Leafs used to be. But that's just my opinion, guys. Thanks so much for having me on. Love the channel. You guys are the best, and I'm going to join the chat, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Jim,
thank you, Jim.
Thank you as per always. And I don't think that I'll pretend like we'll all put that Cole Caulfield, Austin Matthews thing away somewhere. We're not gonna. We won't. I've had worse takes. I
doubt that, but I appreciate the vote of confidence. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Take it easy.
Take care.
Shout out to Jim in the chat. Great call as per usual. Darius, let's dive into the 3 stars here before I wrap up. An hour and 20. Crazy. I don't even know if we need to do this in
Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, Matthew Nyes. Good night, everyone.
in that order.
In that order.
No, other way around.
Well, Matthew Nyes is the first star.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nyes,
Matthew Nyes is your first star of the night.
Matthews, Marner. I don't think we
Correct.
need too much on that, but
No, that's
that was a
that was-
electric stream.
Easy one.
Obviously, I mean, each one will be like that now as we approach the regular season. Ottawa plays the Senators tomorrow, so for obviously out of town scoreboard watching, Florida, I believe, plays.
Sorry,
tomorrow.
Ottawa plays who?
The Senators. Is that what I said? They play the
think,
Ottawa
yeah.
plays the Montreal Canadiens tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And then you have the Panthers also, I believe, playing tomorrow. So
I thought I was like, it's Montreal, and then I was like, wait, I don't know if you said that or not.
they
But
play the Senators. Ladies and gentlemen, some out of town score watching. What a great night for Toronto sports. The Jays had a crazy win. If you follow the Jays, I definitely do.
11th
The
inning.
Leafs had a crazy win. And this is the best time of year for sports. So it's NBA playoffs are just around the corner. The other Raptors aren't very good. But any final thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, before we wrap up? And more videos for you all coming tomorrow. Hopefully we get a Jake McCabe injury update here in the somewhat near future.
I think we'll get one. They're going to be off tomorrow, so we're going to get one on probably Friday, which I think is good news. And I think that he's going to be back. So, and thank you everyone in the chat before we wrap up for letting us hit 100 likes on this stream. Thank you very much. Your support was unbelievable tonight, and I love to see everybody happy and juiced up after a Leafs win. So hopefully many more of those in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, I mean,
It'd be nice.
Jam, your energy was feeling good. Hopefully we can bring that, and the first full season of Leafs Digest post games with me and Darius, we can you imagine that? Gives me chills. Can you imagine them going to the
wrapped up
cup or
here.
something with our first year of regular season games? Maybe we were not the problem, maybe we're the solution.
Maybe that's right. We're the lucky charm.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you all. We'll have a video for you tomorrow morning, probably multiple videos. Have a great evening,
I'll
Bruce.
have
Daniel.
something fun for the playoffs as well. I'll tease that a little.
And we'll
bit
have
as well
some
for
new
sure.
emotes coming for the next stream. Stay tuned for that on Saturday. I will be there. Darius is 50-50. Hopefully we'll have some call-ins, everything like that. Prophet, thank you for tuning in again. And yeah, we had 100 likes. Everybody who donated, thank you very much. It means the world to Darius and myself. So that is Jim, Blake, Eric, Robert, Simon, Jose, Blake, Nick with 5 gifted. Blake Sim again. And Jim, thank you again for your support. Ladies and gentlemen, have
Thank
a
you, everyone.
fantastic night. Thank you again, everyone, Eric, everybody involved. And we will
Go
see you
Leafs.
all. We have a video for you guys tomorrow.
Leafs Digest, your daily dose of gold. Stories of the bold, where legends untold. From first puck drop to the season's fall. Tune in and watch the drama unfold.